Hi, I'm Mark, welcome to Start Making. I've just installed a dust extraction system that is an absolute game changer. Gets rid of this in seconds. If you're in a small workshop like me, you don't want noise inside, you don't want space used, fit it outside, feed it in, have a dust port. I'm going to show you how. If you like the video as we go, click like, subscribe and comment. Show me how you've done yours. I've got a bin to collect the dust in. I've got a cyclone to separate it when you are drawing it from one of the machines or whether it's from the floor when you're cleaning. I've got a few fixtures and fittings. I've got a vacuum attachment. I've got some universal attachments, a whole host of stuff, and excitingly I've got a Shop Vac. It's got a 10mm hose on it, and then I've got a load of this smaller hose, which is what I want to use inside the shed. I've set up a shed box outside that I had somewhere else in the garden, moved that down, and I'm going to drill it straight through the wall. So the first thing that we need to do is get all of this put together somehow. I have to say I did end up playing around with the fixtures for quite a while, trying to decide if it would be an issue epoxying the attachment straight to the cyclone, but then I decided to actually just give it a go and get started. The cyclone itself comes with a handy template so that you can just lay it over what the bucket you're going to use. I just popped some marks in for the screw holes and then decided to cut the circles straight out through the paper itself. I did try a few different methods to make the hole. The bin I bought is actually quite thick lidded, so these Stanley knives weren't going through it. Maybe mine were blunt, but I did find that a jigsaw made short work of it. I then quickly offered up the cyclone to the hole and realised that mine was a tiny bit too small, so easy work for a chisel, just to make it a little bit wider, and then just drilled the screws that came with it through the lid back up into the cyclone, into the pre-drilled holes. The cyclone itself comes with a rubber seal that I attached tightly between the lid and the cyclone, and with that it was done, ready to pop on top of the bin. I have to say that part of the job was really easy, attaching the cyclone. The next I knew would be harder because of all the different widths of hose that we had. So I basically decided that I was going to pad out the top hose with a little bit of tape because it was so close to a tight seal, and then epoxy the attachment that I had onto the front that would bring it down to exactly the right dimensions. I figured this was the simplest way without spending a lot of money on loads more attachments, but if you buy this right the first time, you won't need to go through the rigmarole that I'm going through right now. I chose 5-minute epoxy over super glue just because it would fill the gap better being thicker, and I felt it would be stronger in this situation. So I just mixed it up on some tape so I could throw it straight into the bin afterwards, try and minimise the mess, and then I used some blue painter's tape just to hold the joint together while it's set. I found some odd electrical tape that I used to make the joint tight on the top, and then I had a bit of a brainwave that actually, if I'm going to be fixing it to this extent, I should probably just use some silicone around the outside once everything's fitted, which I did later on. As well as the weight of the hose itself, the one other reason that I went for the smaller diameter 30mm hose was because passing it through the shed itself, through the wall, I didn't want to be drilling a 10cm diameter hole. So I just went in there with the hole cutting bit for the smaller pipe and then went halfway from the outside, halfway from the inside, and he seems to think it went well. And then passed the hose through from the outside, ready to test it out. The set of bits that I got for adapting and connecting the hose to the tools came with this snap-on attachment that everything clips onto, so I just attached that to the end of the hose with the idea that I was going to mount that on the wall, and then I could attach all the different attachments to that itself, which makes a really neat dust port to connect the hose to. I gave it a quick test with the length of hose that I've got,
that I'd cut it in half and used half outside. So what I tested by connecting it just to make sure that the suction worked, and I noticed it had a lot of play from where it goes through the wall, and so I decided just to strengthen the area around the port so that as I'm going to connect the hose to it a number of times, it wouldn't gradually weaken and break. I wasn't really looking to do anything too flash here, so I just took the attachment and drew around it onto a piece of 3/4 inch plywood and then cut that out, and just to make a mounting plate for the attachment itself that I could screw onto the wall, that it would countersink within. You could use a hole cutter or a Forstner bit for this. I chose the Forstner bit just because it would be a little bit neater, and it happened to be exactly the right size, albeit a bit snug, so I had to file it down a little bit to finish the job. I then quickly laid out where I wanted to attach the mounting plate and marked out where I could put some screws. I put another thin piece of plywood underneath the bottom here because I've got some plywood trim that I didn't want it to rock on. So I attached that to the bottom and then screwed it into place, and in the space of about an hour, 90 minutes, I was pretty much set up with the dust extraction system in place. I just want to show you what the setup looks like from the outside, from the little shed. I drilled a hole in the back and ran the hose directly from the cyclone into the main shed, and I've siliconed all of the joints and the areas where it leaves the shed box so no water can get in from the rain. And it's as simple as that. That's basically ready to go.
So now you've seen the outside, all that's left is this small port on the inside. So every time I want to clean the shed or attach it to one of my power tools, one of my circular saws or my jigsaw, all I need to do is get this out and I can attach it on. Now I've ordered some more fixtures. This is just a few fixtures wedged together, but it works. You just click it on and then attach the end to whatever you want to use. If you want to hoover the floor, attach it to the hoover. If you want to use one of your power tools, plug it into the power tool and away you go. It's a bit cumbersome. I'm going to have one long hose for the cleaning so it reaches to every corner, and after doing the deep clean yesterday, it's spotless. It's really good. And then I'm going to have a smaller hose, probably just about this length, that will go to the back of one of my tools so I can use the tool and not have all of this in. Got to install a hook so I can put this out of the way, but apart from that, it's a dust extraction system that I've got the noise outside and I've got just the small port inside that I can take the hose off, coil the hose up, put it away, and it doesn't get in the way at all. I'm really happy with that.
One final test left to do. So after I'd cleaned the shed up, and it's the first time I've looked in either of these two bins, I wanted to check where the dust was actually settling. So I opened the bin beneath the cyclone first, which is where it should settle, and 95% of the dust has gone into this bin. There wasn't a lot to start with, but look at that, that's quite a lot. And then I opened up the Shop Vac, and there was very little in there. In fact, there was probably some in there before I even started.
So all in all, the dust extraction project turned out to be a huge success. I'm so happy with it. I've done a deep clean on the shed so I could do a few thumbnail photos yesterday, and it took no time at all, and already there are no surface areas of dust lying around on the bench, on the sides. I can start fresh next week with my next build and I can clean it up in minutes. It's brilliant. I would recommend it to anybody. It's not cost a huge amount, it's just the Shop Vac, the cyclone, some hoses and some attachments. You've seen that I've jerry-rigged the attachments together. I'm sure there is a much cheaper and easy way of just grabbing a few attachments that fit the hose that you've got. I did it really with speed in mind, just to get it done. If there's any questions, pop them in the comments. If you want to know what I've used, let me know, and I'll put some links down there once I've figured that out. If you've liked what you've seen, if this is helpful to you, please click the like button. And if you want me to make more shop videos like that or more making videos, then subscribe, please. That helps me so much. For now, thank you so much for your time. The best thing you can do is start making. Get cracking and see what you can come up with.